But I'm doing it as a live because I'm still up. Um, had some kind of rough sleeping habits today because I'm not feeling super great. I'm feeling kind of down. But this is a video that I've been wanting to make, and I'm just sitting here crocheting. So going to my computer right now doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but I really wanted to talk about this. I really wanted to talk about how important it is to feel like your parents actually love you. I have a video on daddy issues, and I definitely think that fathers are super important, but it's not even just that, right? I feel like, situations where your parents aren't there because they have passed on, that's one scenario. That's different, and that's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about when you have parents who are alive and well, when you don't feel like they love you. And that's a really big thing that I want to emphasize, because I firmly believe that even if someone says that they love you, if you don't feel it, if you don't know it and feel it, then, I at least will speak for myself. It doesn't really mean much, because I feel like sometimes you don't have to say things. You just know, you can feel it through the actions or through other words that are said. And again, even if you say it, it doesn't necessarily make it any more true. People lie. And also people, even if it's not a lie, I know that, people have different ways of expressing how they feel. People have different ways of expressing that, that they love someone. But my thing is, I feel like no matter what way someone displays it, you're still gonna feel it, no matter what way it's displayed to you. And when it doesn't feel like your parents love you, whether it's both of them or just one, I feel like it has such a negative impact on your psyche. Like, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube, and they vary in the subject matter. But, recently I watched a video about, actually I watched a few that kind of related to the subject. I watched one where it was a bunch of reactions to this woman talking about how her husband treated his child one way and her child differently, not as well. I watched another video that was talking about like the newer generations going no contact with their parents. I watched another video that was talking about people in general being unhappy these days. And I feel like it's all connected. I really do. I'll say that right now, I feel, one of the things, and I feel like in different ways, I have talked about it on my channel, Like when I talk about support systems, like I said, with the daddy issues video and, probably some other ones. But I genuinely think that emotional support is so underrated. There's this big emphasis on finances, and I get it because finances are necessary to live. If you don't have the money, then all of a sudden your living situation gets into question you know, um, as far as literally where you live, or if you eat, what you eat, etc. All of that has to do with finances, right? So I get it. It's definitely important. But I just feel like a really big reason why so many people are unhappy is because people are not being emotionally satisfied. There are so many things I feel like these days that are, it's like people crave for emotional connections, but the things that they do are not what actually cultivate those types of connections. And I don't know if people are doing it on purpose or if it's because, depending on the way that they grew up, they don't actually know or understand how to foster those healthy emotional relationships. I don't know exactly what it is, but I do think that most people crave them, and it really powers a lot of the decisions that people make, whether they realize it or not. Like, I feel like a lot of women want to have children a lot of times because, and again, not always, but a lot of times because there's an emotional void there. It's not being filled by really anyone else. And so if they get a baby, they figure that that'll be someone that they can pour into, someone that'll love them, a very emotional decision. And, I think a lot of times when people seek out a bunch of sex, it's really, they're trying to fill a void. And I think the void is there because of a lack of a true emotional connection. And I think that some people even seek out different partners and such because they're scared of emotional connection, because maybe they opened up before and they were hurt and they don't want to be hurt like that again. But that doesn't mean that they don't want the connection. It just means that they're scared that it won't work out if they open themselves up to it again. Anyway, my point again is that emotional support is extremely important. And your parents are often the first people who, that you're around, the people that you're around the most growing up. They're your foundation, right? I mean, people get teased a lot because, it'll be like, oh, like if someone thinks something good about themselves, and then maybe the comeback is something like, oh well, um get that from someone other than your mommy. It links back to your the person's mother, loving them, accepting them, whatever. And the thing is, I feel like it's kind of a double-edged sword, in the sense that on the one hand, it's like you kind of feel like, well, maybe this isn't as valid because it is just, it's my mother. Of course, she's going to be biased towards me. I'm her child, and that's what mothers do. But the thing is, though, unfortunately, that's not even always the case. And that's the thing. See, you would think that that would be the position. You would think that, oh, your mom, maybe your dad, of course they're going to think highly of you. They're your parents. That's like the thought I think that goes out a lot of times. And rightfully so. Because if anyone is going to be biased for you, it should be the people that are responsible for bringing you into the world in the first place. They say that no one is going to love you the way that, well, at least your mother does. So the thing is, my point of this video is, if people say that no one is going to love you more than your parents or your mother, however you want to take it, those foundation people in your life, if people are constantly saying that no one's going to love you more than them, and then they don't even seem to love you, then how is that going to affect the way you go into every other relationship in your life? I think that gets really underrated. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's what's going on, or that's the case. People, they don't see it, or maybe they do, and they don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to handle it. It's hard. If your parents are supposed to be your first vision of love, of healthiness, if they're supposed to be setting the example and they don't, but they're the people that you are always around, that you're always observing and learning from, then of course you're going to grow up and it's going to be a chaotic way of living. It only makes sense. And it's so unfortunate because you never get to learn those foundational building blocks, I guess, for lack of a better term at the moment. You don't get that. You don't know how to navigate it. You don't know what something good or healthy looks like. And then sometimes, because you never got that love, that healthiness that you always needed, you crave it. You get desperate for it. It opens you up to be taken advantage of, and it opens you up to be hurt. And a lot of people are. And a lot of people don't really recover. And it's why I think therapy gets promoted so often, because a lot of people don't even understand the reasons why they're going through life the way that they are. Or even if they do understand why, they don't know how to cope or how to handle it. Again, I feel like without those fundamental building blocks from your parents, without at least feeling like, if no one else, your parents love you, your parents have your back, you can depend on them, you can come to them for whatever, that their love isn't conditional. When you don't even have that, it makes it hard. Because then if no one else does seem to love you, you start to say, well, yeah, this makes sense. Not even my parents love me, so why would someone else? It can get into such a negative mindset, and it can cause so many different vices and unhealthy coping mechanisms in general. It's really bad. And that's why it's so important. See, that's why I think that growing up, the most important thing you can get from your parents is love. Like I said, finances are definitely important, but that love, that support, that dependability, that is so priceless because it's your safe place and you may never find it anywhere else. And if you don't, at least you know that you have or had it. At least you know that you experienced it once. You know what it's like. You can recognize it again. You don't have to learn what it is because you know. It's not to say that you can't learn it, but I think that that can be a lot harder. It's funny. I didn't realize for the longest time how shaky my own foundation was. I had to learn it myself. And I'm trying to cope. It's not going so well, but that's another big part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, because since I'm going through it firsthand, I have experience with it. So I feel like I can speak on it, at least to a certain degree. I know I don't have the same lives that some people do. Everyone's lives are different. Some people's are worse or better. My point is just that for me, like I said, I'm going through my own set of difficulties. I've recognized certain things and I wanted to speak on it. Partially because, again, the whole reason I made this channel is because I have a lot of opinions. I know that not everyone is going to agree with all of them, but they're not always conversations that I'm always seeing out in the world. But I think they're important, and so I want to talk about them. And for anyone else who has been thinking about them too, is maybe feeling alone in their thoughts or their feelings, I'd like to foster a community where like-minded people can get together and share different feelings that we have in common. I don't know if that'll happen, but I still want to talk on things like this, especially the things that I find particularly important. I think they need to be discussed, and this one with parents, I think, is critical. And I hate the fact that a lot of times I finish my videos and then only after I'm done do I remember something else that I should have said. So I'm sure that there's more commentary that I have on this subject that I could have added, that I wish I would have added, but I like to think that I did at least get the main points down that I wanted to convey. I guess the only thing that I'll add is that I understand that when someone becomes a parent, most times, unless they dealt with other people's children's, it's something new. Like if it's your first, and it's something that you have to learn to do. You're not going to be perfect at it. I understand that. But that's, again, why I say it's not really about being a perfect parent, but it's about just trying to be a safe place for your child. I truly, personally think it's the best thing that you can do. Because then, no matter what the circumstances happen to be in a person's life, at least they know that they're safe with you as a parent. I'm not a parent, and I'm not sure that I want to be, or that I'll even have the option, really. But these sorts of things, not wanting to ruin an entire another generation, is on my mind. So I try to really keep these sorts of thoughts in mind so that I can be a better parent than my parents were to me. In any case, I think I'm going to finally wrap this up. I think I've been going on long enough. If you happen to listen to this, thank you. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye.